Until recently, range has always been considered the most important stat on hand cannons. As it turns out, Cool Guy did some testing on this and found out that range isn't the be-all end-all stats on hand cannons. You could go for other things to improve the consistency. If you haven't heard of Cool Guy by now, please check out the link in the description. It'll be to that hand cannon range video, and then you click subscribe on his channel. Now, what you're seeing in the background is two gameplays simultaneously showing the difference between a high handling loadout and a low handling loadout, which should serve as a really good example to the things I'm about to talk about. So, last week I did a lot, and I mean a lot of handling tests with all sorts of different weapons, different handling stats, and different handling perks, and how they all interact with each other, and exotic armors that boost handling. I did all these tests by hand, so of course there's going to be a small degree of human error, so don't take any of these numbers as fact. But some truth was revealed because doing this hundreds of times across all these different weapons leads to some conclusions that can be drawn. The methods I use for testing handling are as follows. First, I kept it consistent. I used a Rose and a Jack Queen King with an identical handling stat. Second, I would shoot one weapon, swap to the other, and shoot as quickly as I possibly could, regardless of if I could aim down sights. Speaking of which, I didn't really test any aim down sight speed differences between any of the guns because that's not what I'm looking for. If you had to know, Snapshot does supersede max handling, so if you have a gun with max handling and a gun with poor handling but the Snapshot perk, the one with Snapshot will always aim down sights faster. After looking at all the weapons in Destiny, I tried to find a weapon that had the 100 handling stat. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist, so Drang is the next best thing at 96. And what this test shows is the difference between 92 handling, 96 handling, 69 handling with quick draw, and 96 handling with quick draw. This will give a good indication of whether or not having high handling and quick draw is faster than having low handling and quick draw. Already, this single test does reveal a couple conclusions, the first of which is that the quick draw perk makes you not worry about the handling stat bar because it is better than something with 96 handling. In most cases, a weapon will already have decent enough handling that the quick draw perk will effectively max it out. The next conclusion that can be drawn is that having quick draw is only a couple frames better than 90-ish handling, which means that if you like a perk like opening shot or disruption break on your Drang, then by all means you could go for that with high handling to have the same feel as a quick draw Drang. So now we'll take that same idea with the Drangs and apply that to shotguns. This test solidifies what we just learned. Having quick draw on the shotgun is the fastest, but as you up the handling on a shotgun, you get pretty close to the quick draw feel. So to get a Parcel of Stardust to 89 handling, you have to go for a Barrel Shroud and a Handling Masterwork. But of course, if you do this, you're giving up potential one-hit kill distance of your shotgun, which in a lot of cases is life or death. This test shows that there is a good mix of handling and lethality on a shotgun, and of course Mindbenders does that best. But how can the other shotguns catch up? I'm sure you're probably thinking it already, the Ophidian Aspect Exotic Gauntlets on the Warlock. What this test does is it confirms something we already knew, which is that Ophidians do not give the quick draw perk to all weapons, instead they give a big boost to handling, somewhere that I would say is probably between 50 and 70-ish. Hold your horses though, I know you're looking at that 26 frames and you're saying, wait, do Ophidians stack with quick draw? They don't. What you're seeing is that Ophidians boost the stow speed of my Rose hand cannon. The conclusion we can draw from this test is that Ophidians do not stack with quick draw and that there is a cap to equip speed. This also shows that having high handling leads to a better stow speed, and stow speed is just as important, if not more important, than the equip speed of the weapon that you're swapping to. I'm sure you're aware that there are perks you can get that change the effective swap speed of your weapons. On the weapons, we have Quick Draw and Threat Detector. They do not stack together, but Quick Draw is pretty equivalent to max handling, and Threat Detector is just a couple frame bonus. On the armor side of things, we have the dexterity perks, like Shotgun Dexterity, Enhanced Shotgun Dexterity, and the new seasonal mod called Ever Ready. These are just not worth it in my opinion. The opportunity cost just does not add up. Consider that instead of having Quick Draw on your Mindbender's Ambition, you could have Rampage, Moving Target, or Auto-Loading Holster. I don't think any of those are worth potentially spending like 12 armor points on dexterity perks. For example, let's say you have a Mindbender's with the Rampage perk. For that Rampage Mindbender's to feel like a Quick Draw Mindbender's, you have to spend a lot of coin on armor perks for dexterity. Or, instead, you could spend those armor perks on something like Pump Action, or Traction, or Scavengers, etc. Think about how this sounds for a second. Would you rather have a Mindbender's with Rampage, or would you rather have a Mindbender's with Quick Draw and Double Pump Action, which is a perk where if you get shotgun kills, it gives you more super energy? While it sounds like an easy choice to make when I put it that way, you also have to consider that exotic weapons throw a wrench into this plan because there's no way to have a Fighting Lion and a Quick Draw Mindbender's. It's just impossible. So the next thing you want to go for is something like a kinetic shotgun that gives you the most bang for your buck in terms of spending coin on perks and selecting shotgun perks that allow you to have a pretty comparable one-hit kill distance to the Mindbender's. I'll save you the stress of trying to find the magical kinetic shotgun that is the same as Mindbender's because there isn't. There is no substitute. I'm pretty sure that somebody has already talked about it in the comment section even though they haven't finished watching the video, but there is a way to get faster handling without spending any coin on perks, and that is sprint canceling, jump ability canceling. These exist, and it doesn't matter if you have Quick Draw, these are faster than Quick Draw. The conclusion we draw from this test is that if you're mechanically adept enough to always sprint or jump ability cancel, then you do not need the Quick Draw perk on a shotgun. In fact, Snapshot would be so much better than Quick Draw. However, if you play a hunter or if you play very fast-paced gameplay, there are moments where you cannot sprint cancel. Take for instance, you're trying to slide towards somebody. What if you're sliding away from a gunfight into another gunfight? What if you're holding a crouch so a teammate can shoot over you? What if you're coming out of a melee, an Icarus dash? There's a lot of moments where having high handling is better than sprint canceling. So now with everything we've learned so far in this video, what are the takeaways? What are the conclusions that I draw here? Well, it happens to be with more or less rules of thumb for selecting your weapons. So with all this handling knowledge, let's go over the rules of thumb for selecting weapons. Number 1, if a weapon has Quick Draw, it's already a great perk choice, and a lot of times, it's going to be obviously the better choice out of everything else. Number 2, if a shotgun has Quick Draw, then Rifle Barrel gives more bang for your buck, since Rifle Barrel subtracts handling, and you also get precision damage. Full Choke takes away the ability to get precision damage, so you might as well go for a range masterwork. Number 3, if your shotgun does not have Quick Draw, like almost every kinetic shotgun, then Full Choke is better because it does not subtract any handling. And on these shotguns, you might as well go for a handling masterwork just to get a couple extra frames on that equip speed. Finally, for number 4, the stow speed is just as important as the equip speed on a weapon, so having Quick Draw on both weapons is extremely powerful. So is a mix of having both Quick Draw and Snapshot on either the same weapon, or Quick Draw on one weapon and Snapshot on the other if the Snapshot weapon has a high base handling. With all this being said, let's go back to the beginning of the video where I referenced Cool Guy's hand cannon range video. We talked about how range isn't the be-all end-all stat, and now I think I'm going to go for as much handling as I can get on a hand cannon so that my stow speed is better when I move to my shotgun. For the future, this is how my personal hand cannon meta is going to play out. I'm going to look for a very high handling Spare Rations and Jack Queen King with Snapshot and some other beneficial perk, maybe a Waking Vigil, and until I get an old fashioned with Quick Draw and explosive rounds, I will not bother looking for a Kindled Orchid with both Quick Draw and explosive rounds. For shotguns, I'm going to look for a quick draw mindbenders with rifled barrel and slide shot, assault mag or Acrez rounds if I can get it, of course a range masterwork. For kinetic, I'm probably going to use the Moon shotgun with opening shot, rifled barrel, and quick draw. And if I want to use something without quick draw, I'm just going to go for the max of the max range. So a last man standing with full choke, 1-2 punch, opening shot, and a range masterwork. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, maybe learned something new. If you didn't or just didn't like the way I went about the video, let this background clip really sink in.